It is story time. Yes, yes, yes. Story time in the sanctuary, okay? Story time. Okay, so you guys get to see the woman that I am today, but you did not get to see me some time ago. And I love the woman I am today, but I did not love the girl I was some time ago. You guys didn't get to see all the wrong choices I made because I didn't love myself, because I wasn't seeing myself correctly. I rejected me time after time after time, but I expected someone to accept me. But I never accept me. And you want to know how I know I didn't never accept me? Because I always tried to pretend to be someone I wasn't. I always tried to do things that did not benefit me or show that I even cared. I never took time to get to know who she was so that she can flourish. I never took time to understand her. All I did was just blame her. You know, there was a time where I sat down and I realized that I didn't know what I like, who I was, where I wanted to go, what I wanted to be, because I didn't know her. I never took time. I always made her pretend to be someone and shrink back when she wanted to fit in. I never accepted that she was supposed to stand out. I never accepted that God wanted more for her. I always made her stoop so low and become someone she would never be. Never be. She didn't have a chance, a choice of being that person that I tried to get her to be. It never worked out. And it wasn't until I surrendered. I surrendered. And I asked God to show me who she's supposed to be. What is she supposed to do? What is she supposed to look like? How is she supposed to act? What is she supposed to believe? How is she supposed to talk? Because I can't speak for you, but I can't be who I'm supposed to be if I don't even know the one who created me. Like, what does he think? What does he say? What is the plans that he has for me? How is this life supposed to turn out? Because from the choices I made to the people I surrounded myself, I wasn't giving me a chance. It didn't matter what anyone said because I was already counting myself out. I already told myself you weren't enough. I already told myself you weren't capable of. So it didn't even matter what the outside said. I never fought for myself. I never defended myself. I never saw me the way that God saw me. I kept running and running and running, and I made her feel like she was never going to be good enough. And it changes with accountability. Yes, life happens, and life is going to happen to everyone. But you are responsible for you. No one else can be responsible for you. That's your job. And if you ever want to see you flourish instead of just survive, then you will stop making yourself shrink back and you will stop the pretending. You would stop making yourself seem like you're irrelevant or you're not enough. If someone else doesn't believe that, that's fine. But when you don't believe you're enough, that's a problem. You have to believe, but also tell yourself. And when you tell yourself that you're enough, start doing actions that show yourself that you are enough. Start taking care of yourself. Start waking up and telling yourself, I love you just the way you are. Before you brush your teeth, comb your hair, put on clothes, tell yourself in that state, I love you just for who you are and where you are. And the moment you begin to love yourself, you will start to show and start to do those things. You start taking care of yourself. It won't be a question. And later on down the line, you won't care what anyone else has to say. You want to know how I know that? Because I experienced it. I experienced it. God showed me how to love myself, how to speak to myself, how to take care of myself, how to groom myself. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. It matters what you believe and what you say. Because when you say something after, here we go again. When you believe something, that belief is followed by a confession. And when you confess something, that's followed by an action. What you believe is what you'll say, and what you say is what you will do. So what will you believe? It's not enough to just believe. It's not just enough to say. It's not just enough to try and do something that you don't even believe. But the moment what you believe matches up what you speak, matches up with what you do, then you're onto something. Then you are moving. Then you are moving. What will you believe? What will you declare? What will you do? It's your life and you still have time. You still have time. And you still have a God who says you are able. You are able and you are capable. So what will you believe? What will you declare? And what will you do? What will it look like for you to take action? Take action on what you're supposed to be doing. Not what you think will help you fit in, because you're not going to fit in. And the more you shrink back, the more you're holding yourself back. Take action. Sit down. Get you a pencil and a paper. Allow yourself to dream without you counting yourself out. Without you saying, I can't do that. That's too far from me. I don't have the funds, or I'm not in the right environment. Cut all that off and open up your mind. What do you want to do? Then you're going to qualify it by why you want to do it. Then you're going to take it to the foot of Jesus. And you're going to ask him, what will he do with it? Then you're going to sit down and you're going to let God give you revelation. He's going to give you ideas and strategies. And then he's going to show you exactly what's in you first and what's around you to get the job done. Will you dare to believe that you got what it takes? That God didn't put you on this earth for nothing? That you're not a mistake, you're not an accident? Will you believe that God made you an answer, that when he saw you, he said, there's a problem that only you can answer? Will you believe that he wrapped you in skin and sent you down here for a mission that you can accomplish? But it first starts with what you believe. What's in here? What are you telling yourself? What are you accepting to live up here rent-free? When you love you, you will stop letting negativity live up here. You're going to realize that it costs you something to believe those negative thoughts, that it's costing you your happiness, that it's costing you your finances, that it's costing you the very dreams that you want to believe is yours. Not believing costs you your whole life. If you are still that person clocking into a job that you can't stand, clock into a job that's never going to be enough to pay for your existence, you can't seem to make ends meet, you're struggling paycheck to paycheck, you're not supposed to live paycheck to paycheck. But what you believe will have you living paycheck to paycheck. When will it be enough for you to get up and say, I'm enough. I can do this. I have what it takes for this. I was born for this. I'm an answer. I matter. What will it take for you to take action? Follow your dreams. Pursue them. Chase them down. You've got to believe it. No one else has to believe it. But once you believe it, God can work with that. God can move on what you believe. It's called faith. It's called faith. And you only need a little bit of it. Even if you got to do it scared. Even if you have to do it and you don't know where to start. When I first started I Am Grace, I didn't know what it was supposed to be. Well, let me rephrase it. I didn't know what God wanted it to be. I know what I wanted it to be, but I didn't know what God wanted it to be. And nothing will prosper until it matches with God. Until your agenda matches with God's agenda, it will not prosper. So that means I had to sit down and I had to qualify these whys of why I was doing this. And my whys didn't match up with what God's whys was, because Antonisha wanted to prove that girl was not there. Antonisha wanted people to see that there was a woman here, but I was still dealing like a little girl, dealing like I wasn't enough, still shrinking back, still telling myself I can't do this, still saying I don't have enough for this, still saying what I can't do and not asking God, what do you want me to do? I was still moving in doubt. But the moment that I started to move how God wanted me to, and I started speaking to myself how God said I should speak to myself, that woman in me grew she put on her grown woman undies, and she just got to work. It didn't matter who didn't celebrate me. It didn't matter who didn't support me, because I had an assignment. And the assignment will always be the same: to bring glory to Him, to make sure His kingdom is still pushing at any cost. But if you are too busy doubting yourself and saying you're not enough, then how will you ever make the impact you're supposed to make? You're supposed to make. He said He created us for good works. But if you never come into alignment with who you are, you can never do those good works. So you will continue to be frustrated because you're not living in your purpose. But the moment you align with Him, you're in your purpose. It doesn't start when you're doing something big. No, it starts when you get this right. When you start to believe what God said about you. When you hold on to the promises He gave you, because His promises are yes and amen. So, today, choose to think, I can do this. Then put one foot in front of the other and move forward and say, I can do this. Watch yourself thrive. You've watched yourself fail. Now watch yourself thrive. You've told yourself you weren't enough and you watched yourself be stagnant. But start to tell yourself, I can do this. I am the answer. I have what it takes. God's grace is more than enough for me. And watch yourself thrive. You were born to thrive. It's in you. It's in you. It's in you. You were created for this. God knew what he was doing when he put you in this earth. There is no one that can do what you do and how you will do it. There's no competition because you're in your own lane. You're not competing with anyone. God didn't put you down here to compete with anyone. It was no mistake. He doesn't need you to outshine anyone, but he needs you to let him shine through you. That means the competition has to stop. That means the doubt has to stop. That means the fear got to be in the back seat. And you have to move forward. Like I said, I didn't know what I Am Grace was supposed to be. And there are times where I got frustrated and I wanted to quit. And I don't mean like that play quit. I mean like I wanted to say forget it. But God didn't let me. He kept bringing me back until I got in alignment with him. That means my motives needed to match his. That means I no longer was out here trying to prove myself or try to be someone I wasn't. But I fell into alignment with who he said I was, and I made moves and decisions from there. And look at me. Ant.Camp from back then would never be out here trying to make sure she's taking everyone with her. Never. No. I was too busy trying to make you like me or want to be around me. Think I'm cool or something. That's crazy, right? I know. It's crazy. But look at me. Look what God can do. And it didn't take long. The thing is, we want to get up so fast. We think that once we pass one little thing that, okay, we're good. We're all healed and whole now. And the truth is, you ain't. I was still raggedy, just as raggedy as they come. But it was something about surrendering wholeheartedly. You hear me? Surrendering. I know it sounds scary because you don't know what's next. But the thing about it is when you trust God, he'll do that exceedingly and abundantly. It's a trust thing. You know, God is like, if you trust me and you just take a step forward, I'll meet you. I'll meet you. You'll see how you do all the less and I do all the more. It's his glory that no one is going to get. So you will always be the one doing less and he will always be the one doing more. He will always make the difference. So while you're out here trying to question what people are going to say, how's it going to sound, he's just like, you're not trusting in me. You're not letting me do this thing that I promised that I would do. He says, only I know the plans I have for you. So yeah, things may form, but only I know the plans I have for you. He says in this world there will be troubles, but take heart because I've overcome it. So yeah, things will form, but only I know the plans I have for you. Couple episodes ago, well, just the last episode, we talked about how God will save you. But you just have to trust in him. We've been on this thing of Psalms 91, and we've been going into different stories, and we get to see that the moment that they relied on God and they trusted in him wholeheartedly, they knew his name, they knew what he was about, they knew the God he served, he came through, and they didn't have to brag on him, honestly, because the people who were doing them wrong was bragging on a God they did not even serve, but they watched him in action. That is you. That is who you're going to be. You're never going to have to say anything. God is just going to show up because you believe in him. You're never going to have to prove anything. God is going to show up. You just have to live that life that says, I know who my God is. And if you are the one who hasn't sat down yet, what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for life to just become easy? Because it's not. When God set me down, he set me down. And depression had to come forward. Anxiety had, God really made me sit down and just let's talk about it. We're going to talk about why you think you don't qualify. And then I'm going to tell you why I said you qualify. It's never about what happened to you. What happened to you shows someone else that they can get back up. That's all that is. You go through things because there is someone that's connected to you that needs to see if she got up, if he got up, I can get up too. That's why you're watching me. Because you can get up too. I was the one who could not believe her own self, never put herself first, never believed she would amount to anything. She believed that what she endured in the past would hold her back forever. But look at me. Doubt can't hold me. Fear can't hold me. It may try to creep in, but it won't stay. I will not let it stay. My God gave me a word. And that is he'll supply every single need. Every single need. Every single need. So if it's a need of grace, he got it. If it's need of love, if it's a need of acceptance, he got it. He will supply every need. You got to take him at his word. You got to stand on his word. I remember in the beginning, once I read something in the Bible, God made it clear to me that I was responsible for what I did with that word. So if what I was believing didn't line up with that word, then something had to leave. And it wasn't going to be God's word. Whatever that old thinking was had to leave. I had to let it go. It was no longer mine. Everything that I thought that I knew, I no longer could hold on to it because it didn't align with what God said. And when it didn't align, it was never going to prosper because it was never what he said. But when I got in tune with what he said and I started to move according to what he said, then I began to prosper. Then these burdens and these cycles no longer could hold me down. I wasn't bound. I wasn't out for the count. I wasn't counting myself out no more. It didn't cost me a penny to believe what God said. It challenged me to come higher. And if being challenged seems scary for you, it is about time you start hitting that floor and asking God to reveal himself to you. Reveal himself. Let me tell you, the moment that God became my father, following him became easier because I knew what a good father is supposed to be. You know how you have in your mind the perfect father? And I mean the grown version of you, not the little kid who thinks you're supposed to get it your way. But the grown version of you that knows that when you have kids, you're going to protect, you are going to defend, but you also require them to trust you even when what you say don't make sense to them. That's God. And I understood that if I was ever going to do anything, or if I was going to ever take hold of what he said, I would have to trust him even when I didn't understand him, even when I couldn't trace him, even when he said something and my eyes did not see it, when it saw the total opposite of what he said. I still knew that my job was to trust what he spoke. No word proceeding out of his mouth shall come back to him void, but it shall accomplish what it was sent to do. Now it's your job. It's your job. It's your job to get back up. It's your job to start telling yourself what you're supposed to tell yourself, not what you've always seen. God, what did you say about me? Who did you say I was? What am I supposed to be doing now? God, I need you to be real to me. These are things that should flow from your mouth. Not because you have it together, but because you want to get it together. Even now, at this point, at this stage in my life, God, remind me again, what did you say about me? And take me back to all those times you came through for me, even when I didn't understand. That's me now. Which means you'll never be A-okay, and you will be A-okay, but you will never make a move without God. Never. Okay, let's just get that settled now. You will never make a move without God. Never. Okay, let me rephrase it. You'll never prosper without God. You'll make all the mistakes when you're not with God. Trust me. You'll make them all. All. You'll waste money. You'll make dumb decisions. You will discredit yourself, discount all that other stuff. You'll do all that without God. But with God, there's alignment, there's direction, there's prosperity, there's abundance. There's those dreams that you thought were too far. All of a sudden, they're reachable. If I just push a little more, if I just go a little harder, if I fall on my knees and God, I need you, they're reachable. But what will you believe? Even if you're scared. When I was getting back up, I was scared. First of all, I had never seen anyone do it. And I didn't know what it's supposed to look like. But God, I trust you. I trust that you have the plans for me. I trust that you know what my life is supposed to be. I trust you. What do you believe? What will you believe? What will you say? How will you take action? Hi, I'm Antonisha, and I am your purpose coach. I'll be right here on I Am Grace to remind you of what God said about you and remind you that God says, at the end of the day, I still got you. I still got you. Even if you get off track, let me tell you. There's this dude named Jonah. God tells him to go to Nineveh. And tell them what I say. Dear sweet Jonah went the opposite way. Ended up on a boat. The boat ended up on sea in a storm. Everyone's trying to figure out what's happening here. Long story short, they throw Jonah off the boat. God has a fish, a whale, whatever you want to call it, swallow him and take him to where he's supposed to be. It's called course correction. I'd say that because God still has you even when he has to course correct you. may not look pretty, may not feel pretty, but you will still get to your destination. You may have to bump your head. You may have your rebellion stages. That was me. But I'm still getting to where God wants me to be. So, with all that said, you may get it right and decide, I'm going to turn around my life right now. And God, I'm going to submit to you. I'm going to start locking in with you. Or you can be like Jonah and be rebellious and bump your head a couple times, and then God got to course correct you, and it just seems even harder than what it was supposed to be. The Israelites, they didn't have to spend all those years in the wilderness. Had they done what God said, had they followed what God said, they would have been able to reach the promised land. But God had to get it right with them too. Everyone has that. It's either you get it right and you submit, or you bump your head until you get it right. Either way it goes, God is going to do exactly what he said he was going to do. You are going to fall in line one way or the other. Your choice is either doing it the easy way or the hard way. And the hard way for me was not working out. I was frustrated. It got to a point where I knew that this was not the life for me. I knew that God had called me to more. And I understood that I was in the way. And the moment I took accountability, God could work with me. Now that you know that you're in my way, now you can move out of my way. So, you still have a chance. There's a purpose for you, and your job is to pursue it. Tune back in the next video, and we're going to talk about exactly how you lock in with God. This beautiful thing called intimacy. Intimacy. It's a different kind of intimacy when it's you and the one who created you. Because he knows your truth and you can't hide. You can't tell him what you wish the story would be. He already knows your story. You just knew the part that didn't seem right. But God knows the part. He knows the part that will turn your whole world around. He knows your beginning to the end. He knows your end to the beginning. He writes the story. You just get to walk it out. Right? So anyway, I'm Ant.Camp, and thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.